Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Shields. I'm the youth minister here at St. Joseph's. And today I want to talk to you about morality. Is it your truth or is it just truth? Before I get going, I just want to take a second here to ask you guys to please subscribe to our page. If you want notifications, please click the bell over in the corner. Let's get right to it. The phrase "speak your truth," right? I I really don't like this phrase. I mean, every time it just hits me wrong every single time. And I think it's because it's saying that truth is subjective, right? It's saying that, well, my truth is this, but your truth could be different. And that's just not how it works. That's not how truth works. You can have your own thoughts, you can have your own feelings, right? And you should have your own feelings. But truth isn't the same way. Truth isn't a thought, truth isn't feelings. Truth has an objective quality about it. See, Jesus knew this, and that's why he gave us the magisterium. That's why he gave us the teaching authority of the church. You see, here in the Catholic Church, we have 2,000 years of history, 2,000 years of teaching, all leading to what we have today. Let's go to the Catechism of the Catholic Church so we can see what it has to say on the magisterium. CCC 890. It is the magisterium's task to preserve God's people from deviations and defections, and to guarantee them the objective possibility of professing the true faith without error. Thus, the pastoral duty of the magisterium is aimed at seeing to it that the people of God abides in the truth that liberates. To fulfill this service, Christ endowed the church's shepherds with the charism of infallibility in matters of faith and morals. As Catholics, we defer to the church on the matters of faith and morals. We believe that Jesus, right, that God endows a charism, endows a gift to the leaders of the church, to the Pope, to the bishops. Even though we have the magisterium that shows us the way, that has this, like I said before, 2,000 years of history and teachings handed down to us. So, I mean, it's like we're given all the answers to the test, right? But we still have free will. You see, God wants us to love him, to know him, to serve him. And if he forced us to, it would cheapen it, right? It wouldn't be a true love. It wouldn't be a true gift of self. With this gift of free will, it also gives us the ability to choose to do wrong, to choose to sin. Think about this. When we're given the keys to the car for the first time, right, be it with a driving instructor or with your parents, the first time you get behind the wheel of a car, it's scary. You have all this power over where this vehicle goes or doesn't go, whether it stops, how fast it goes, how fast it stops. You seem to have all this control, all this power, right, at your fingertips. This can be a little intimidating at first. Now, if I gave you the keys and I told you to drive, from Modesto to San Francisco, without any prior experience, you can probably get there, but it would be pretty dangerous. If you didn't know the laws and the rules of the road, you could easily find yourself in an accident. You can find yourself killed. That's what free will is like. Our life is like we've been given the keys. We have the freedom to do whatever we want. But if we don't follow the rules of the road, if we don't follow the guidelines that have been set out for us, we can easily fall into error and we can easily do things that could cause us to spiritually die. That's why God gave us the magisterium. It's the rules of the road. We need to study these rules and we need to practice and get better at living within the rules, at living within the guidelines. Because by doing those things, we're going to be able to live a more moral and overall better life. God's calling us to him. Therefore, we know true happiness is going to lie in him. So, if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we're going to be truly happy. Let's get into what makes an act moral. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1757. The object, the intention, and the circumstances make up the three sources of the morality of human acts. So what does that mean? Well, the object would be what you do. The intention is why you did it, and the circumstances determine how bad or how good it is. So think about it this way. The object, what you did, could be theft. You stole something. The intention is why you stole it. Let's say greed, you just wanted it. And the circumstances that determine how bad or worse it is what maybe how much you stole or whether or not the things were needed. As of this recording, we are under a stay-at-home order from the government because of the COVID-19 crisis. Now, something that would affect the severity of theft would be if you stole a whole bunch of surgical masks, of medical supplies from a hospital that needed it, right? That would make it morally worse than just if you stole a candy bar from the store. Let's go back to the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1760. A morally good act requires the goodness of its object, of its end, and its circumstances altogether. What we're saying is everything has to be in line. If we go back to our previous example where we talked about theft, let's say you stole something. Let's say you stole food. But the reason you stole the food was because you needed to feed your kids. Well, that's still not a morally right act because you stole. Even though you did it for a good reason, the fact that you stole something made it a morally bad act. Everything has to line up for it to be a morally good act. Let's take a different example. Let's say you gathered food donations, that's what you did. To feed the poor, that's why you did it, and you only did it to help. You didn't do it for recognition, you didn't do it for an award or to get anything. All these things played together make it a morally good act. The reason why we're talking about morally good and morally bad acts is to know right from wrong. Is to know whether or not what we're doing is good in serving God, or whether or not what we're doing is detracting and pulling away. In order for us to be able to know in the moment whether or not something is morally good or bad, we need to develop our conscience. I'm going to read a couple passages from the Catechism of the Catholic Church in order to show what developing a conscience is and why we do it. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1796. Conscience is a judgment of reason by which the human person recognizes the moral quality of a concrete act. Right? Conscience is you judging the morality, whether or not it's good or bad. That's your conscience. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1798. A well-formed conscience is upright and truthful. It formulates the judgments according to reason, in conformity with the true good, willed by the wisdom of the Creator. Everyone must avail himself of the means to form his conscience. It's everybody's responsibility to form their own conscience. Lastly, Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1800. A human being must always obey the certain judgments of his conscience. What that's saying is that you're morally obliged to follow your conscience. Now, if your conscience allows you to kind of step outside the lines every once in a while, it's because it's not truly formed properly. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1801. Conscience can remain in ignorance or make erroneous judgments. Such ignorance and errors are not always free of guilt. All this to say we must develop, listen to, and obey our conscience. Errors and ignorance still happen, but that doesn't make it what we're doing right. It's still wrong. We just didn't know it was wrong. When we find out that it was, we have to repent. We also must strive for the good in all things. We must practice virtue, and we must avoid vice. I'm just going to briefly go over virtues and vice. I'll probably get into it a little bit more in a separate video, but we're just going to touch on them briefly for now. Virtues are faith, hope, charity, prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. Vices, on the other hand, are pride, gluttony, sloth, lust, greed, envy, and anger. Now, these virtues and vices are things that we should either practice or avoid. Let's practice the virtues and avoid the vices. If we do these things, it'll help us develop the muscle of doing the right thing. Let's take a brief break from virtue and vice and morality, and I want to tell you about our saint of the day. Our saint of the day today is Edith Stein. Edith Stein was born to a Jewish family in Germany. As a teenager, she turned away from Judaism and professed atheism. After becoming a noted philosopher, Stein was drawn to Catholic thought. Her reading an autobiography of Teresa of Avila influenced her greatly. After finishing the book, she remarked to herself, "Truth is truth." Stein was then baptized in the Catholic Church in 1922, and in 1933 she joined a religious community, the Carmelites, and took the name Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. In the late 1930s, because Hitler was in power and anti-Jewish sentiment was on the rise, Stein left Germany and sought refuge in the Netherlands. But her safety was short-lived. During World War II, the Nazi government ordered that all Christians of Jewish descent living in the Netherlands be rounded up for resettlement. Stein, along with her sister, who was also a convert from Judaism, was arrested and sent to Auschwitz. She was killed in the gas chambers. She was canonized in October 1998 and has been named a co-patron saint of Europe. Her feast day is August 9th. I really like that quote from Edith Stein. Truth is truth. And that's really what we have to know. See, Jesus gave us the magisterium so that they could teach us matters of faith and morals. They define for us what truth is. It's not just what we want. It's not our truth. It's truth. What do we need to do? Well, we need to develop our conscience on a daily basis. We do that by reading, by studying, by practicing virtues and avoiding vices. But we also cling to the sacraments. Go to Mass. Go to confession. By doing these things, we're reinforcing that muscle. We're building that muscle so that when it comes time for us to make a difficult decision, we'll know what truth is and we'll know what to do. And if we're wrong, well, we apologize. We go to confession. And we try again. We all fall down. But the difference between the saints and the sinners are the saints pick themselves up and keep going, and the sinners wallow in the mud. One last thing before I go. Please subscribe to the channel so we can keep giving you content. Hit that bell so that you can be notified every time we do put something else out there. And if you liked what I had to say today, give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Have a good day. God bless.